Has ESO finally been low-key put on maintenance mode? Hey everyone, it's Spopes reporting here from the Writhing Wall, which is rapidly turning out to be the most mid and overhyped event in the game's history. A lot of us, including myself, went into this event with very high expectations. However, I know I'm not alone in saying those expectations were not met with Phase 1 of the event, which has been described as grindy and repetitive, with rewards that really aren't worth the effort. Like you guys, I was hoping that once we get to Phase 2, the event might really get into full swing, we'd start enjoying it more. After looking more closely at the information on Phase 2 that's already out though, I'm no longer confident that anything is going to get any better in Phase 2. We're going to get into what Phase 2 has in store, why it's not going to be much different from Phase 1, and what this all means for the future of ESO. Before we dive in though, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hype it if you know what that is. As a quick recap, so far the Writhing Wall event has had you going around and doing daily quests. These give you glorious writhing reward coffers for the first daily you complete each day, and they also progress the Writhing Wall event a very small amount. The main task you complete to get these rewards is going to siege camps, which are basically exactly like incursions or dolmens in other areas of the map. The reward coffers don't generally contain much of anything of any real value. You can get a new crafting motif, and you can start getting pieces of a new pet. But given the way the event was described in the run-up, that it was going to be epoch shifting, that it was going to change ESO forever, it really seems like much ado about nothing. A lot of us have been thinking though, well, Phase 1 is disappointing, but Phase 2 is where things really kick into high gear. And we can be forgiven for thinking that based on the language that ZOS uses in their marketing. Phase 2, the assault begins. It's time to take the fight to the Worm Cult, continue to strengthen the war efforts, maintain siege camp defense, and expect vicious counterattacks as Fellowship forces prepare their decisive strike against the wall. So on its face, this sounds pretty hype-worthy. Strengthen the war efforts, take the fight to the Worm Cult. But then we start scratching our heads with maintain siege camp defense. But then again, expect vicious counterattacks sounds like the Worm Cult is going to be invading, actually fighting back. But when we get to the next paragraph, you start to get the actual idea of what's going to happen. Siege camp incursions will occur more frequently and be more difficult to complete. Additionally, the Daedra Gishzor will be appearing as a world boss. And that is it. Those are the only changes. The siege camps will occur more frequently, which I don't quite understand because I feel like one already begins basically right after another. They're going to be more difficult, so I guess they might take a little bit longer. And then this world boss who accidentally appeared in Phase 1 is going to come back. And I'm getting the feeling that that's what they mean by the vicious counterattack. Just one world boss appearing. It will also become possible to start farming the bone skill style for the Caltrops skill. You'll need 25 fragments of that, just like the Wormwrithe Hodgemoda hatchling. But it's sounding like really that's it. Siege camps are going to become a little bit more brutal, a little bit more frequent. The world boss is showing up, and you will be able to farm one new cosmetic item. Also, it's looking like this Meridian lens thing up here is going to light up and start pointing at the Writhing Wall, giving you a visual indication of the fact that the wall is starting to come down. This is all fine on its own. In my opinion, the event really isn't that bad. As I've been saying from the beginning, my main issue is that it's overhyped. All this language is put in there to make it seem like it's something it's not, which is concerning on a few different fronts. Let me begin my analysis here by reiterating something that I've said many times over now. I really like ESO. It is one of my favorite games of all time, if not my favorite game of all time. I love the aesthetics, the storyline, the community, the world. I love basically everything about it, which is why it concerns me to not see the same level of love for the game reciprocated by the lead development team. Sure, there are a lot of passionate developers at ESO who truly love the game, but something seems to be off with the overall direction of development. There's some kind of disconnect going on here, or else there wouldn't be such a huge separation between the hype over this event and the actual reality. It seems ZOS is no longer capable of doing bold and innovative things. This event was billed as being bold and innovative, but in the end, it is really mid, really disappointing, and for most players, pretty boring. And again, I just want to say, I love ESO and I am rooting for its success. Like so many, I have invested countless hours, lots and lots of crowns, so much time and money and energy into this game. I don't want to see it fail. But it's really starting to seem to me like the developers of the game are putting it on maintenance mode, whether they're meaning to or not. And maintenance mode is generally defined in the gaming community as when a game stops putting out meaningful updates or changing in any really considerable way. It's maintained, the servers keep going, there are tokenized events to keep the community engaged, but there's no sense of vibrancy or growth, or really of any future. I do want to give a caveat. ESO has been through major changes in the last 6 months or so. It is too soon to see how those changes are really going to pan out. It's possible that the ship will be righted and we'll have smooth sailing from here on out. But in my opinion, it's also just as possible that Microsoft is simply shifting the chairs around on the Titanic as it sinks. And it's not like the problem is that ESO is old. Old school RuneScape is over 20 years old, but there are currently almost 200,000 people playing it. And I would argue that's not because OSRS is inherently a better game, though some might say it is. Rather, this performance is due to the developers continually investing in the game, truly loving it, listening to the players, making decisions on future content based on what the players have to say, and just clearly and obviously doing their best to make the game as good as it possibly can be. What's tough about this situation with ESO is there are so many players who absolutely love the game, and for good reason. It has excellent bones. The game will still be great in so many ways, no matter how the developers continue to update it. But at the same time, Microsoft, the parent company of ZOS, is watching very carefully. They're only continuing to support the development of the game because it makes money. And if the live content that the highest spending players consume in the greatest quantity goes off a cliff, it's possible Microsoft will stop wanting to invest in the game. We are currently at around 65 to 80% complete with the Writhing Wall Phase 1. This is, of course, after the developers boosted the progress by 20-some percentage points and also boosted the rate at which the event progresses. So we should start to actually experience Phase 2 of the Writhing Wall sometime in the next week. But if at that point players note that there isn't any real significant improvement in the quality or enjoyment of the event, engagement and sentiment may continue to tank, which could affect the future performance of the game. This whole experience has been pretty eye-opening for me. I love ESO, that's not going to change, but I'm finally having to accept the fact that the developers, and by that I mean those in charge at ZOS, don't seem to love it as much as we do. There are other explanations, just funding restrictions, maybe just talent leaving, demoralization at ZOS, getting too content, getting too comfortable with their positions, even the cultural influences of being based in the DC area, which has a lot of bloat in terms of money, but it is a cultural echo chamber. There isn't a lot of vibrancy of diverse opinions. I honestly don't know what's going on here. My wheels are spinning trying to figure out what's going on with this decline, why this event didn't match our expectations. But I think it's time the community accepted that ESO, at least currently, is on maintenance mode. There could be a renaissance. Maybe 2026 will be the best year in ESO history. There will be banger content, we'll get overland difficulty selection, maybe they'll even come out with crossplay earlier than anyone expected. But these are a lot of ifs, and currently the trajectory of the game looks like it is going down in terms of player satisfaction, player engagement, and also the investment the developers are putting into the game on an ongoing basis. As I said before, I will keep playing ESO until the servers close. I like the game too much to give up just based on how it's currently being developed. But I also want to give voice to the community's frustrations. Let you know that you're not alone, that as a content creator, I feel those same frustrations, those same concerns with the direction the game is going. And in my opinion, it's only by voicing those frustrations in a reasonable and unbiased way that the developers will know there's an issue and will respond accordingly. So I'm not trying to trash ESO or bring it down even further. I'm trying to bring some honesty to bear here in the hopes of expressing your feelings and also helping the game thrive for years to come. But it's very difficult to glaze this event. It would be a lot easier to like it if they hadn't overhyped it so much. But as so many of you have said in the comments, these are just more daily quests with rewards that are worse than the dailies you already do in other areas. I really hope that ESO is just in a slump in terms of its development, that it isn't permanently on maintenance mode, that there is a renaissance. But as some of you may know, I have begun to expand my repertoire into other games. I have been trying out New World and enjoying it for what it's worth, noting the drawbacks in comparison to ESO, but also the strengths of that game. I'm going to continue expanding into new titles, so if there are any games that you'd love for me to cover on the channel, please let me know in the comments below. I'm not giving up on ESO, I still love it and I'm invested in its success. I want to help new players continue to thrive in the game, and I don't want to turn anyone off of the game who is new to it. It is still a great game for new players. There's so much content to experience before you get to the top of the pyramid of the new content that they are continuing to put out on a live basis. But for those of you who have already done basically everything in the game, and all that keeps you re-engaging is the live content, things are not in a great place with ESO. The community needs to be heard, the developers need to know that, there needs to be a considerable direction change in 2026, or the game will just be permanently on maintenance mode from then on out. The chance of a renaissance will greatly diminish, and we will slowly start to see the death of a game that has meant so much to many of us for so many years. So I hope you appreciate the content. Again, I am not trying to be unduly negative here. Like I've said before, I don't think the event is that bad. I'm not really offended by it. I'm just reading between the lines and seeing what this means about the game on the whole. And I know a lot of you are really disappointed in the event, and I want to make sure that you know your voices are heard. On the flip side, the Witches Festival event is ongoing and it's a lot of fun. Most of these events that ESO started putting out years ago are excellent every single year. We can rely on them for as long as the game keeps going to breathe in fresh air and fun every month or so. So it's not like everything about ESO is bad. I think the game is dying or dead. It's just, I think it's time for some honesty regarding Phase 1 and now Phase 2 of the Writhing Wall falling flat. Phase 2 is likely not going to fix any of the problems. It's going to be just as tedious of a grind as Phase 1, with maybe Phase 3 when we actually get to the Writhing Fortress, redeeming the event to some degree. But to get there, we have to go through this crazy grind that I know a lot of you are honestly tired of already. So the event was poorly thought out, poorly executed, and reflects the current tenor of the situation at ZOS. They've been through massive layoffs. They've had leadership changes. New content has been in decline for years already. Is it possible for the devs to turn this around? Maybe. Are current signs looking like that turnaround is imminent? Definitely not. I really appreciate you guys watching all the way through to the end. If you haven't yet, please remember to like, hype, and subscribe. Help me out further by joining my membership program, leaving me a super thanks in the comments. All your support is really appreciated. Lord, thank you for my community. I give all glory to you for the video and the channel. Please bless the ESO community. Help them get all the enjoyment out of the game that they want to get. Bless ESO. Bless the developers ZOS. Help them turn the game around, breathe new life into it, take it off maintenance mode, like someone in a coma who suddenly wakes up. I believe in your miraculous power, Lord, and I ask you to bring it to bear on this game so that we get to enjoy amazing new updates and improved content for years to come. And bless the players as they slog through the Writhing Wall Phase 1 and the upcoming Phase 2. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Again, I really appreciate you guys watching, and I want to reiterate that I am not trying to be negative here. I'm simply voicing your feedback while also being as critical as possible regarding what the event and the way it's been handled mean for the future of the game. And I just want to say in closing that I think it's time we accept as players that at least for the time being, the developers have pretty much given up on the whole. Maybe the new leadership will turn things around. Maybe new features coming out shortly will make the game better. But I think just for the sake of being in accord with reality, it's time we accept that the battle for the Writhing Wall indicates that the game is essentially on maintenance mode. Thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, turn on notifications because I'll be back soon with new content.